Hi guys, welcome to Relentless Pursuit. I'm your boy Rian. On this channel, we help imperfect people, such as myself, connect to a perfect God. In today's video, we will be quickly talking about the subject of God's sovereignty. So stay tuned to this video. So what is God's sovereignty? Before we highlight the subject of God's sovereignty, we have to first ask, who is God? A proper understanding of who God is will let us have a proper understanding of God's sovereignty. Many people have a shallow understanding of God and don't understand that the principle that we should understand first is who God is before approaching any subject of the Bible. Let's see what God's holy scriptures have to say about who God is. Revelations 22 verse 13 reads as follows: I'm the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. Here we already see God's seriousness in regards with who He is. Again, Genesis 1 verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. We see here that God is the creator, the supreme being, the one that is there and that is to come. He is all things. He is creator. Isaiah 44 verse 6. Thus saith the Lord, the King of Israel and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts. I am the first, I am the last. Besides me, there is no God. God is declaring His strength, His supreme lordship. God is saying, I am God. I am creator. There is no one that can compare to me. Isaiah 40 from 28 to 29. Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might, He increases strength. God gives strength to us. God increases strength to. This is just an understanding, guys. We have to have a proper understanding of who God is. We have to understand that He sits at the top of the food chain. He is the King of kings. God is the Lord of lords. There is no other besides Him. So when we understand this concept, when we understand who God is, then we can approach the concept or the idea of God's sovereignty. God's sovereignty simply means that God is in control of every aspect of the universe. I'll be putting some helpful articles in the description box below that you can follow and just read. Guys, God's sovereignty is important to understand, especially when we lose loved ones, when we go through difficult times. It is important for us to understand God's sovereignty. Individuals like Apostle Paul understood God's sovereignty and God's control, complete control over the universe properly. No wonder they could approach hardship with such joy, because they had a proper foundational understanding of who God is and God's control over all of the universe. Let me read some of the scriptures that supports the idea of God's complete control over everything that happens in this universe, in this life of ours. Everything happens only by God's command. Everything happens by God's will. God wills all things, knows all things, and allows all things. And I want you guys to understand that subject. Here, Psalms 115 verse 3. Our God is in the heavens. He does all that He pleases. Does that not just tell you that God is in control of all things? Again, 1 Chronicles 29 from 11 to 12. Yours, O Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the victory and the majesty. For all that is in the heavens and in the earth is yours. Yours is the kingdom, O Lord, and you are exalted as head above all. Remember, as head above all. Both riches and honor come from you, and you rule over all. In your hand are power and might, and in your hand it is to make great and to give strength to all. Let's read again. Job 42 verse 2. I know that you can do all things, and that no purpose of you can be thwarted. Thwart simply means prevented. Proverbs 19:21. Many are the plans in the mind of men, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand. I mean, can we get any clearer than that? This notion that you can speak things to existence, that you can change your future, and all this is such nonsense. These things are preached by so many prominent preachers out there, and we just allow them to spill this garbage onto social media platforms just for clickbait. They know that they're preaching something false. God is sovereign over all things. Even Jesus says, not my will, but yours. Let's read Ephesians 1:11. In him we have obtained an inheritance, having been predestined according to the purpose of him who works all things according to the counsel of his will. God works out all things according to his will. God doesn't need man's permission. God doesn't need you. God will control all things. We need to understand that subject. Many of us are taught that only if we start thinking positively, only if we start confessing positively. That's not the gospel. That's not the message of sovereignty. God's sovereignty is that he controls all things. You are not sovereign. You do not control all things. You cannot speak things into existence. Isn't this the very reason people were cast away from God's presence? Because they wanted to be like God and they wanted to be God. This is blasphemous that men prominent in men of God are just talking about this as if we can speak things to existence. Do we even call them men of God? They are charlatans. I mean, for crying out loud. This scripture just hits the home run. Proverbs 16 verse 4. The Lord has made everything for his purpose, even the wicked for the day of trouble. God has destined all things. Can we get any clearer than that? Can we just understand that God is sovereign over all things? Many of you guys might not like the idea, but it's not about what you like. It's about what scripture says about God's sovereignty. God is sovereign over all things. And I want you to remember that, dear beloved. Guys, if you have an objection to this message and like, Rian, come on, man. Come on. What you're saying is totally wrong. Put them in the comment section below, guys. If you like the video, smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a video. A lot of helpful resources will be in the description box. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Stay true to God, stay true to the gospel, and always look to learn and search God's beautiful scriptures.